All right, Ken, thanks a lot. So that helps me out. I just feel like this is something that's going to just continue to grow and show value. And ServiceNow is really taking a deep dive into this space for us. So, and I'm excited about it. Thanks for taking the time to come in and talk about that with us. And then I know you wanted to talk about credentials and some of the changes, things that are available. You know, we've all dealt with discovery and people struggling with maybe particularly on the Windows side, the amount of access that discovery account needed. And now we have a solution and a way to work with customers better on that. So I'll let you take back over and tell us about JEA.
Thank you, Scott. Absolutely. Thank you. Let's get my slide up here. So for us that have been in the discovery world for a long time, one of our biggest complaints about from the Windows admin is the need for that discovery account to actually have local admin, particularly on domain controllers. So, you know, as we all know, if you create a local admin on domain controller, it becomes a domain admin. So a lot of people, they just say, no, you're not scanning my domain controllers, forget it. I can't have that security risk. And a lot of times, and I've had this happen too, working for high security environments, Department of Defense, Foreign Department of Defense, banks, things like that. They don't want credentials sent over the network. Maybe they have regulatory requirements. Maybe they're just nervous about it. And the credentials, even though they're encrypted, they are sent over the network, and that makes them nervous. I've had a lot of firsthand experience with customers, and they just don't want to do that. And again, local admin on domain controller is effectively a domain admin. And one of the last thing is, you know, WMI discovery is going out on a single port 135, but it comes back on a huge range of ports because you never know how the target's going to respond. So it is harder to configure the firewalls because you have to open quite a large range, and a lot of you know, companies just don't like that. It makes them nervous. So what JEA is basically using Microsoft's just enough administration, which they developed, and allows ServiceNow is leveraging it. It allows it to connect to the endpoint that is created called a JEA endpoint using PowerShell, and we can limit the port that goes across the wire, which is 5985 and 5986, which is great. No giant range of ports, and we're also taking the account that is logging into the server, and kind of like a sudo that you would do on Unix, Linux, we're limiting the amount of commands that it can actually run. So we set up a profile using JEA with the commands that ServiceNow needs for the mid server to run to get the information it needs, and no more than that, right? So the highly privileged accounts used to administer the servers, they do pose a serious security risk. Should an attacker compromise one of the accounts, they could launch lateral attacks across the organization. Each compromised account gives an attacker access to even more accounts and resources, puts them one step closer to stealing company secrets, launching a DDoS, stuff like that. So the Microsoft JEA security allows non-administrator users limited access to run specific commands, scripts, executables necessary for discovery. And when we create that profile, you define what commands it's allowed to run, right? It enables the mid-server to collect the information about a Windows machine without requiring that full administrator privilege on the target. It requires a little bit of setup on the ServiceNow side, a little bit of setup on the targets. There's a bunch of different ways to push out those two profile files in the init script, but it works extremely well, and it allows security people to sleep at night, which, you know, is a huge win for us when we're deploying discovery. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. I totally, I totally understand that pain point, right? And having done a lot of discovery setups in the past, that, you know, the security is the biggest hurdle, and having one more way to get past this. Another thing, I love the the reference to that. I hadn't thought of it that way before, that this is, and I've done a lot of Unix, that this is like sudo for Windows. I hadn't really kind of made that connection. So this is fantastic. I appreciate you coming on, and definitely recommend any customers out there that are maybe struggling to kind of move forward with their Windows discovery and getting past that credentialing. And it seems like this would also help you get past that case when we have 72 different Windows credentials in our credential store that we have to go through and keep trying on different machines. Appreciate everybody joining in this week, and we'll look forward to you next week on the same ITOM time, same ITOM channel.